What's up everyone, it's your FPL Thinking Cap Benji, and in today's Meta Moves video, we're going to be discussing Erling Haaland, whether you guys should be selling him, who are the best replacements. We're also going to be discussing Brian Mbeumo and whether his current stats are suggestive of whether we should be holding him long term, should we be selling, and of course I've got a Gameweek 13 meta differential, and this time it's an Arsenal player. Thinking Cap activated. Let's start with Erling Haaland, who blanked for the 5th time in 8 game weeks against Tottenham. He's being transferred out by hundreds of thousands of players. His ownership has already dropped to under 60%. And I've had a couple of you guys ask me, what do I do with this guy? Should I be patient with Haaland? Is he now a differential? And if he is, does this make him a better hold potentially? And my answer to you is that yes. Perhaps Haaland is more of a differential now than he was a couple of weeks ago, but the problem is that if he's not banging in goals, and one goal might not be enough, if he's not banging goals in every single week, you've got 15 million rotting in your team when you could have the equivalent of a Bukayo Saka or an Isak, or Bukayo Saka and an Isak for the same value. Now, if we look at Haaland's underlying stats, they are still really top of the range. He ranks first out of all forwards for shots on target per 90, post-shot XG per 90, which is a finishing quality stat, and non-pen XGI per 90. So he's still finishing really well. He's getting the most non-pen XGI out of all forwards, and his volume of attempts on target is still the biggest right now. The problem is that City aren't actually playing well. The short-term fixtures aren't that good either. Liverpool away next. Then it's a home game against Nottingham Forest, who have defended really well this season with the Murillo-Milenkovic partnership at the forefront of Nuno's success. After that game, it's Palace away, Manchester United at home, and then City play Aston Villa away in Gameweek 17. So yes, Haaland's numbers are still good. They are still top of the range, but with City being in such a poor patch, I just definitely think he is a sell. Haaland offers nothing creatively. He's 19th out of all forwards for big chances created per 90, and his baseline BPS scores, they have him at an 11 average, which is just pretty mediocre. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't scream that, if Haaland gets a measly assist, he's going to pick up some bonus. So Haaland desperately is relying on his goals, and not only one goal, multiple goals to justify his price point, whereas the premium midfielders, aka Salah, Saka, Palmer, all have stronger point projection due to the extra point for a goal, additional assist threat, and a stronger baseline BPS. So yes, I do think Haaland is a sell. And I've been saying in my videos, if you watch my content, that Liverpool away is the safest exit point you're going to get all season. Haaland has never returned at Anfield in the Premier League, and with the form that Van Dijk and Konate are in right now, I have to back Anfield on this one. The one thing I will say is that if you do want to keep Haaland, you have to be 1000% sure that he's going to pay you back soon, because if you're not 100% certain that he's going to do the business, maybe, there's some doubts in there creeping in, or maybe you just want to wait a few more weeks and then maybe sell, I'd seriously just do it this week. You've got the safe exit point. You don't want to wait. If you're not 100% certain on keeping him, if there's even a 2 to 3% doubt in your mind, I would seriously sell this guy. The writing's been on the wall for weeks, and even if Haaland was averaging a goal a game right now, that still wouldn't be enough to justify his price because of what Saka's currently producing, because, what Isak was producing before the West Ham game, and obviously the other cheaper players, other cheaper forwards who are offering consistent points that allow you to offset the cost of Haaland. Should you be planning to bring him back in if you've already sold him? Well, I think honestly, if you have 2 or 3 premium mids, if you don't have Haaland, you probably have, a Salah, Saka, Palmer setup with maybe a medium priced forward like an Isak or Jackson. So if you are in that setup, it only takes 2 transfers to get back to Haaland, right? So you just do a Saka plus Isak down to a Haaland plus Rodgers, and then bang, he's back already. So it's not that difficult to get him back in if you sell him. If you do have that FOMO with Haaland, I really would say just don't be too frightened to sell him. Millions of managers in the elite ranks haven't owned Haaland all season, and I think he has officially slid out of the FPL meta. Okay, so if you're 100% certain on selling Haaland, there are actually quite a few options for you to choose from. I've collected my favorite 8 replacements up here, and you can see my personal rankings of all 8 on the right hand side, starting with my favorite ones, which are the 2 bonus magnets of Cunha and João Pedro. If you compare their baseline BPS scores to the rest of the competition, it's obvious that these 2 forwards are just a level above the rest. Cunha and João Pedro are putting up much better baseline numbers because they both play in a team where they are the number 10 in that team. So that means they're hitting the passing tiers that the other forwards just don't do. They're also getting the extras because they are creating big chances, and that counts in the BPS. Cunha ranks first out of all forwards for big chances created per 90, and João Pedro ranks second in that metric as well. The reason why I think these 2 forwards are the best and most meta to invest in is because with the additional baseline, if they do even just return an assist, they're likely to take a piece of that bonus pie with that return, and those extra bonus points are going to really add up down the line. Not to mention that João Pedro is currently averaging a 0.68 non-pen XGI per 90, which is joint top with the likes of Nicholas Jackson and Watkins on this list. So at 5.6 million, you're really getting mega value by going with him. Isak is my third favorite. He has decent non-pen XGI per 90, and Newcastle's fixtures rank 6th out of all 20 teams from an attacking perspective across the next 10. He's also on pens for Newcastle, and he's got decent routes to points, so there's good fixtures coming up. It's just a nice investment all around. I did watch the full 90 minutes of the West Ham Newcastle game on Monday night, so I was a bit concerned to see how ineffective Newcastle's attacks were. It seemed like they were just doing a lot of spammed crossing, a lot of just careless transitions, not a lot of cutthroat, sharp, intelligent attacking plays, but hopefully that was just a little small blip in Newcastle's attacking potential, and I hope they do get back on track against Crystal Palace. Jackson is really close to a top 3 spot in the rankings, but I just don't feel comfortable in recommending him to you guys because he is on 4 yellow cards, 1 more, and he will miss a Premier League match. And considering we're going into winter, maybe you guys don't have the best team squad, the best squad depth, then potentially he is a very risky pick. But all I will say on Jackson that he's produced the most returns out of all 8 forwards, 11 GA in the first 12 in his 12 starts, and that's just incredible output. Chelsea ranked first from a fixtures perspective in the next 10. They've got the best attacking fixtures, which is one of the reasons why Jackson is higher than the Solanke and Watkins of the world. Solanke, he's playing Europa Thursday, Sunday. Do you even want a piece of that? Probably not. Strand Larsen from Wolves, look, I own this guy. He's done decent for me, 6 returns in 12 starts. But compared to João Pedro, he doesn't have the pens. He doesn't have the routes to points. He plays for a worse team. He's getting lower non-pen XGI, so it's just a really big gap between the two. And I just look at it and I don't really want Strand Larsen. I'm, in fact, probably going to do the Strand Larsen to João Pedro move myself this week. But Strand Larsen, his minutes are really good, and that is something to note. And that's definitely something that's important going into this winter congestion. If you do need a cheaper guy, maybe you've already got a JP, you don't have enough money to go up to one of the more expensive assets, then I do think Strand Larsen presents decent value as an FPL asset. Let's touch finally on Welbeck. Welbeck is now 6 million, and again, let's just compare him to João Pedro. João Pedro destroys him on baseline, destroys him on non-pen XGI, and JP's only 2 returns behind him right now, and I think it's 5 less starts, so it's really no competition. Brighton's fixtures are decent for the next 6 to 7, but the key thing with Brighton, they're a good long-term hold. They got nice fixture spells in Gameweek 20 and beyond, so João Pedro, I think, is the clear pick here. He has the pens, Welbeck does not. I'd be going JP all day long, and he's someone I'm looking to move to as soon as possible. This week's sleeper selection is Jurrien Timber from Arsenal, 5.5 million. So right now he's the same price as Raya. Timber's a super differential from one of the best teams in the league, only 1.9% owned, and he ranks 9th out of all defenders for chances created per 90. He doesn't carry much goal threat, and his baseline isn't particularly high, but he has had quite a few shots inside the box, and he does have additional assist threat, at least much more than a Saliba or Gabriel for that matter. Either way, Timber looks like a really good pick, and I expect him to be able to play on both sides of Arsenal's back four. and that's going to be a big beneficiary towards his expected minutes in the coming weeks. Arteta cannot afford to drop any more points in the league, and I think Timber is highly likely to start the majority of games, considering that he is now their best fullback. So at his price and at his ownership, I think he is one of the best differential defenders in the game right now. The fixtures are also really good. In Game Week 13, it's West Ham away, then Man U at home, then Fulham away, then Everton at home, then Palace away in Game Week 17. And if you notice something, check Arsenal's fixture schedule. After this week's trip to Sporting Lisbon, Arsenal and Mikel Arteta aren't traveling outside of London until 2025. Yes, check it yourself, guys. West Ham, London. Fulham, London. Palace, London. And they've got 2 UCL games after Sporting, which are both at home. So if you were expecting some additional rotation in the fullback positions at this time, I honestly think you won't be seeing much at all. And there's a very good chance that we see little to no rotation from Arteta, because obviously he doesn't like to risk things in the Premier League. I wouldn't be selling, another Arsenal defender like a Gabriel or Saliba to Timber to just cut costs. I feel like that's a bit of a sideways move. But if you need some Arsenal defense coverage, let's say you can't exactly afford either of the center backs and you don't want to put 5.5 million into Raya because goalkeepers, expensive goalkeepers have been nerfed this season, then I do think that going for Timber could be a very, very, very smart strategy. Finally, I wanted to take some time to discuss Bryan Mbeumo, because after this Leicester at home fixture, there's going to be many people who need to make a decision on Mbeumo. Is he a sell? Is he a hold? What's the go with a Brentford man? Well, in terms of the underlying numbers, he's averaging so far, it's not that great. He doesn't sit inside the top 10 out of all FPL midfielders in any of the key attacking metrics, and his baseline BPS is just unimpressive. His non-pen XGI is decent at 0.43 per 90, but that still ranks 19th out of all midfielders in the game. Overall, he just doesn't really shine in any category, and apart from being a solid pick, having penalties for a Premier League team, I just do think that he is a sell next week, and here's why. He's got Villa away, Newcastle at home, and then it's Chelsea away in Game Week 16, then Forest at home in Game Week 17. Mbeumo has been farming the majority of his points in home fixtures, and he's got a pretty shocking away record this season, considering that both the home and away fixtures get tougher for Brentford in terms of fixture difficulty. I think he's definitely a sell after Leicester. I wouldn't go as far to say as he's a must sell. I don't think he's a must sell or you have to sell him. I think you can keep him all the way up until, the Newcastle fixture in Game Week 15, which is at home, but the earlier you sell him, the more team value you're going to protect, because a lot of us bought him very early and he's very cheap. So if you sell him earlier, you're going to, probably save 0.1 or 0.2. If you sold him in Game Week 15, you won't have that amount to move up or down with. I'll make sure to have a massive section on Bryan Mbeumo replacements on next week's episode of Meta Moves, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to catch that one. But I thought it would be good to bring you my personal thoughts on Mbeumo, a little early analysis to see if we're just looking to transfer out a fake problem or if we're actually transferring out someone who's a genuine concern with tougher fixtures coming very soon. In terms of replacements, I think we should definitely keep an eye on Jared Bowen from West Ham. Definitely, he looked razor sharp against Newcastle, razor sharp. I didn't see him give the ball away once. He had like 10 nutmegs in that game. I swear to God, he nutmegged players at left, right, and center. He was doing Hall, then he was doing Shar, then he was doing Kelly. I swear to God, he was playing crazy. So overall, it was a very, very impressive performance. He's on my watch list, and he's someone that I would also tell you guys to consider as well. At least watch him, try to catch, 60, 65 minutes of that West Ham game, and just kind of watch him, because the fixtures do turn nicely for him. I'd also add Mitoma to the watch list, with Brighton's fixtures having just turned. But apart from those two, I'll save the rest of the options for Game Week 13 meta moves. If you've enjoyed the video, then make sure you grab and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.